With the worldwide pandemic effing everybody's mojo and routine up, most of us have to resort to working from home, or coming up with new ways to do business and hustle in tough times. Most of us are lucky to have domiciles of our own, or even owning kitchens to cook food in, or even have means of ordering and receiving essentials onto your doorstep. Some of us are not so lucky. That really sucks, especially in Malaysia's extended MCO period. Which is why we applaud folks like the Lost Food Project, who rescue surplus food in Malaysia and give them to those in need. These folks adhere to a strict SOP for food handling and deliveries, and are usually on the clock in helping hungry poor folks out. All I'm saying is, if you can afford to buy a Switch right now, while also getting a copy of Final Fantasy VII Remake for your PS4, I'm very sure you can spend just a few minutes donating to these non-profit guys. So yeah, do help your fellow Malaysians out. It'll make you feel good, knowing you can aid organizations sticking their neck out in this period of need. With that said, on to the show. Back in 2002, renowned anime director Hideaki Anno and his new studio had plans to reboot its Neon Genesis Evangelion series with a 4-parter cinematic saga called The Rebuild of Evangelion. Hideaki-san was well aware of the series' fanbase, so he started doing a faithful cinematic story adaptation with 1.0 featuring familiar plot beats from the 1995 episodic series, and then shook things up with 2.0 and 3.0 where the plot takes a completely different turn and gives a sad sack of a protagonist a second chance at being more emotionally stable and teasing a light at the end of the story tunnel. Back then, Hideaki created and directed the original series with a more nihilistic tone in mind, which is why his Rebirth of Evangelion series is heading in an alternate timeline, featuring a new take that also blends in the old. So what the heck does this got to do with Final Fantasy? Easy. Square Enix is doing exactly that to one of its humongous popular entries in its long-standing franchise. In this case, it's Final Fantasy VII and its recent remake. To understand why the company is going into this direction and how its future might be shaped, we will need to talk about Final Fantasy VII Remake's ending and deviations from the original game's plotline in Midgar. And for that, we'll need to talk major Ultima spell level spoilers. Before that, I'd like to take a quick moment to say thank you for tuning into this feature we did. Do subscribe to our channel and click on that notification button to get updated with our awesome gameplay videos and features. We post up new videos like these every Wednesday and Friday without fail. And now to major spoilers about Final Fantasy VII Remake. Consider yourselves warned. Alright, so those flying robe-wearing ghosts that haunted Aerith when you first met her? Turns out they're called the Whispers of Time. They chase you throughout the game and exist to ensure that events in Final Fantasy VII Remake follow the timeline of the original Final Fantasy VII game. At the end of the motorball chase sequence, you end up fighting Destiny in the form of a supersized Whisper Ghost and yeah, that last fight may remind you of Advent Children, but now with your whole starter team kicking his ass. During the Kaiju Whisper fight, you get a ton of visions and flashes of original Final Fantasy VII timeline events like Raid 13's family and Aerith's death. Cloud experiences a lot of these flashbacks and triggers during the course of Final Fantasy VII Remake, which may make a lot of people confused as to whether this version of Cloud has been through the original game's timeline before, or if it's just a Mako messing with his mind. After all, Mako energy is from the Earth and its livestream. And after that epic battle, we cut to another huge revelation. Zack Fair survived his last stand against Shinra, which probably opens up another timeline in the Final Fantasy VII canon, as indicated by this different dog breed of Shinra mascot, Stamp. We also get some quick updates here and there. Shinra is now run by Rufus, Biggs survived the Sector 7 catastrophe, and Hojo is pretty happy with Genova being stolen. Our main heroes Cloud, Aerith, Tifa, Barret, and Raid 13 are set to leave Midgar to search for and put a stop to his plans, which most likely involve him summoning a meteor to wipe out all life. We're not quite sure yet, he seemed on board with changing the course of FF7 history after you beat him. But just before they set off, Aerith notices Zack's presence in the past. Does that mean he's out there alive and kicking? Why does she lament on Midgar's skies? How the heck does she even quote-unquote feel the past and the changes in the timeline? All we have to go by is the Square Enix message which teases more episodes of Final Fantasy Remake. Why are they doing this? Because making a shot-by-shot remake, even with a brand new combat system, may not be the development team's game plan. Everyone and their mothers have access to the original Final Fantasy VII game right now, either on PSN or on PC, or YouTube. It would be quite a disservice if there aren't any deviations or some hook to justify the remake's existence alongside the original game. As Yoshinori Kitase said in a recent interview on Famitsu, the fans have been waiting for 23 years for this game, and I'm happy we've been finally able to deliver it to them. It's a full-fledged game that can be enjoyed by itself, but its story is far from over. With its first game, we showed how there is great potential for the future, and we included many hints regarding what's coming next. I'm looking forward to seeing the fans' theories on social media regarding what could happen now. We will keep in touch with everyone so we can all make this project grow together. Hai okurishmasu! In that regard, the title of the game, the remake portion, makes sense from a narrative standpoint. We would rather they use another word, but Final Fantasy VII Reiteration or Final Fantasy VII we're redoing the Midgar section for 30 hours and putting some alternate timeline nonsense to make it different doesn't quite roll off the tongue. From here on out, after the ending, we're in uncharted territory. Sure, the familiar plot beats and characters will rear their heads, with places like the Gold Saucer and its infectious theme song. And with characters like shapeshifting edgelord Vincent Valentine, kleptomaniac ninja Yuffie, robot cat Ketshi, and my personal favorite, the swear-tastic Sid Highwind. But the circumstances and events may turn out different. In fact, we might get some surprises along the way. Will Zack join the main party? Will turn into a good guy and help fight Genova? Will he even avoid Aerith's death altogether? So many possibilities. I can't speak for the fanbase who may be divisive over this ending, but I'm okay with it. However, what brings up causes of concern is the guy who will be taking us for a whole new trip in FF7 land will be director Tetsuya Nomura, the man who cannot tell a cohesive story if his life depended on it. He can't even get his overall plot and world building straight and accessible with the Kingdom Hearts series. I mean, it's a Disney and Square characters mashup. You have to make a huge concerted effort to turn that concept into a super convoluted mess. What makes anybody think that future FF7 remake stories won't end up the same? We do hope that his colleagues Yoshinori Kitase, Motomu Toriyama, and Kazushige Nojima can keep his vision and thoughts on the straight and narrow. Barring that major issue, we definitely are looking forward to what's in store in the next 10 years. Yep, we're calling it. The conclusion to the Final Fantasy VII Remake episodic arc will cap off in 2031. Count on it. Place your bets. Thanks again for tuning into this feature we did. Do subscribe to our channel and click on that notification button to get updated on our awesome gameplay videos and features. We post up new videos like these every Wednesday and Friday without fail. See you next time, and do keep the JRPG Love Fest ongoing.